Ebola, Ebola in town. Don't touch your friend. No touching, no eating something. It's dangerous. In July 2014, Ebola had hit over 1,000 people in 3 West African countries, killing 660. 2 more countries, Nigeria and Senegal, were threatened as Ebola patients crossed the borders seeking a cure. Now, over a year later, victory is finally in sight. In the Ebola Situation Report from the World Health Organization for the week ending September 2nd, there were only 3 Ebola cases, 2 in Guinea and 1 in Sierra Leone. Liberia has been declared Ebola-free after passing 42 days without a case. Nigeria and Senegal escaped an epidemic. It's a victory that has been won through a long, slow process. Trace, isolate, and treat Ebola cases. Try to detect cases early, before too many people are exposed. Teach people how to avoid contagion. Practice safe burial. And we're winning by a dreadful cost. Total cases of Ebola, 28,000. Total deaths, 11,000. Dr. Stella Ameyo Adedevo, the hero doctor who saved Nigeria from an epidemic by enforcing quarantine on Patrick Sawyer in Lagos, dead. 5 co-authors of a paper on the genetics of the Ebola virus that was published in the August 2014 issue of Science magazine, dead. We're winning, but we need a better way. Facing such a large Ebola epidemic, who fast-tracked trials for the Ebola vaccine? But even with the green light, it takes time to bring a vaccine to clinical trials. The normal process of studying a vaccine goes through several stages. In preclinical trials, a vaccine is studied through lab assays and through tests of its effectiveness in animals. In April 2015, a study was published in Nature magazine reporting that researchers at University of Texas Medical Branch had shown 2 next-generation Ebola vaccines to be effective at preventing experimental infection with the Ebola virus responsible for the strain in West Africa in lab monkeys. These next-generation vaccines are weakened versions of the RVSV Zebov vaccine that has been undergoing trials in Guinea, and it's hoped that they will provide enough immunity for wide-scale vaccination with fewer side effects than the first-generation vaccine. In phase 1 trials, a vaccine goes through testing in healthy volunteers for safety, a small-scale trial. In February 2015, a GlaxoSmithKline Ebola vaccine went through phase 1 trials in Switzerland and in Mali. In phase 2 trials, a larger set of subjects are studied as the vaccine is studied for effectiveness against experimental infection or clinical disease, while still being monitored for safety, side effects, and immune response. In phase 3 trials, thousands of subjects are studied in multiple locations to test the efficacy of a vaccine in natural disease conditions. With 2 candidate vaccines and about a dozen candidate Ebola treatments, who divided up the locations in which trials could take place? In Guinea, a ring-based methodology would be used to test a vaccine by Merck. In Sierra Leone, there would be a cluster-based trial of healthcare workers testing the same Merck vaccine. The GlaxoSmithKline vaccine would be tested by a randomized trial in Liberia. The GlaxoSmithKline vaccine ran into an unexpected difficulty. By the time it had completed phase 1 trials in Mali and Switzerland, Liberia had been so successful in fighting its Ebola epidemic that there were not enough cases left to properly evaluate the efficacy of the GlaxoSmithKline vaccine. But just last month, we got good news about the Merck vaccine. An article published in The Lancet reported that the RVSV ZBOV vaccine could be highly efficacious and safe if administered using a ring methodology. In a ring methodology, you take the subject and vaccinate all the contacts of the Ebola patient. Between April 1st and July 20th, 7,651 subjects were studied. These were divided in 90 clusters. 48 of these clusters received immediate vaccination and 42 received delayed vaccination. In the clusters that got immediate vaccination, there were 0 Ebola cases, and the ones that got delayed vaccination, there were 16 Ebola cases, indicating a 100% efficacy rate. Preclinical trials in the lab in animals, small-scale phase 1 trials, and larger-scale clinical trials in Guinea have produced a positive result. In August, when Sierra Leone saw its first Ebola case in weeks, WHO extended the trial to that country. We may have a winner, and not a moment too soon.